Go.
Today was the heavyweight match between New Zealand and South Africa, and we see that South Africa won the match easily. Like they had ample amount of time; they had at least 15 or 18 deliveries left, and they won it convincingly. New Zealand, we have seen that even in the India series, which they had just before the World Cup, they could, in all the five matches, they could never really build into any partnerships. There was one match where they defeated India and they tried to replicate the Indian way of batting, but even then they could not build into any partnerships. In a T20 game, especially in a tournament like the World Cup, you need two or more solid partnerships, or otherwise that one partnership which is like more than 100 or 120 runs, then it's a different case. But you need 50 to 60 run partnership, at least two or more of them to sustain, and then you can have a good total to put on the board. South Africa, their bowling was really nice. Like Jansen looked like, initially he looked like that every first ball of the over he would concede a six and then he will take a wicket. And that is what he did. Like he conceded a six of the very first ball of the first two overs and then he got a wicket. And New Zealand was 64 for 4. And from then, you cannot go on hitting. Chapman was there, who was striking at 200. At the same time, Mitchell, he took his time initially, but he was going at run a ball. And then New Zealand had a good strike rate, like they were going at least 10 or 10.1 an over, I guess, because at 13 overs, they were 131 for 4. They had a partnership between Mitchell and Chapman for 60, 70 odd runs. And then once Chapman perished, and the way Chapman perished was very interesting because in that over also it was Jansen. He got hit for a four. And there was some quick thinking. I don't know what Adrian Markham told Jansen, but they had a small talk. Maybe Jansen told him that this chap is striking at 200, so maybe slow things down. And then there was a wide, and then there was a slower delivery on which he thick edged and got out. And once Chapman got out, 136 for 4 or something, and from there at 13 overs, and from there you close at 176. Thanks to Jimmy Neesham, who scored two boundaries of the last two balls. Otherwise, you would have been looking at 160 something. That is not acceptable. Like in the last 7 overs of a T20 game with such heavyweight and with such a good run rate of 10 runs an over, you should have been looking at least 200 or more than that. Now let's come to the South African batting. Aiden Markram, he usually doesn't take the strike. Today he took the strike. He put up his hand and he took the strike. Maybe it was making a statement. शायद कोई statement दे रहा था कि भाई मैं तो खेलूंगा आज तो मैं जी तोड़ मारूंगा. और आज वो भाई साहब ने like whenever he touched the ball, it always looked like going into the gaps, going to the ropes. I was very satisfied to see that one of his balls actually went to the fielder. He played tremendously well, which allowed Quinton de Kock and Ricky Rickleton to play the same way. I have to be a little bit critical of Dewald Brevis. Strong lad with immense potential, big hitting capability, and who could be a pivotal force in this World Cup for South Africa if he plays well, if South Africa plays him well, and if he himself shows the potential and lives by the potential. आज जरूरत थी भाई कि तुम उधर खड़े रहो, कि तुम उधर एंड तक रहो. तुम्हारे पास ना रन रेट का प्रेशर है. You are going at below your strike, your required run rate was below 6. ऑलरेडी छक्का मार दिया है. वापस छक्का मारने जाने की क्या जरूरत थी? कोई जरूरत नहीं थी. अब बाकायदा मार्करम के साथ, कप्तान के साथ खेल के, टाइम बिता के, अपना इनिंग्स बिल्ड करते, you have to spend time in the middle. And once you would have done that, you would have gotten better in the next matches. But here you gifted it away, which was a very, very bad choice. New Zealand, on the other hand, once they started getting hit, they could not stop themselves from getting hit. When Deval Brevis got out, he actually opened the gates. Any other good bowling and fielding unit would have tried to capitalize on that opening. ये देखो, South Africa 10 overs they made 119, 15 overs 148, 5 ओवर में सिर्फ 29 आए हैं डिवॉल्ड ब्रेविस के आउट होने के बाद. अच्छा बॉलिंग यूनिट इस गैप को यूटिलाइज करता है एंड ट्राई टू पुश एज मच एज पॉसिबल. Think back to that 2024 World Cup final where India was also in the similar situation. 30 balls, 30. And once Klaasen got out, they pushed back on everything. They put the brakes. So something similar you needed from New Zealand. But that was not to happen today. और क्या गेम खेली है साउथ अफ्रीका. इट वॉज एन ओपन स्टेटमेंट दैट वी आर हियर. हमारी टीम अच्छी है. 11 में से 8-9 तक बैटिंग करने वाले हैं. ऑलमोस्ट इंडिया के सेम इसमें जाता है. जस्ट एक ट्रेल ब्लेजिंग ओपनिंग पेयर शायद है, शायद नहीं है, डिपेंड करता है. लेकिन ये टीम के साथ तो नजर टिका के रखना पड़ेगा. दिस टीम इज देयर and it has a very good probability to go with the World Cup.